got something for everybody, so you've got to find it and get to the sessions that matter to you. To help you do that, you have a guide within the folder that you were given that gives you the timetable of everything and all the events that are going on. So, not a moment to lose. I want to move on now and start talking about building the future of service management. Well, before we build the future, let's just take a quick look back at the events of what happened last year, because I think they're going to have a crucial impact on the future of service management going forward. The Cabinet Office came to a decision to sell off best management practice, including ITIL. The winners of that tender were Axelos, and I'm very much looking forward to that session, the end of today, where they're going to tell us their vision of the future of ITIL and best management practice. Now, I'm not going to go into that. I'm going to go into the future from a practical perspective. What's actually happening on the ground with service management? What changes are happening and likely to happen in the future? And I think we have to recognise that IT and IT infrastructure is becoming a commodity service. Just like electricity, gas, water. You switch on IT, it's going to be there. Look at the explosion in cloud services, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, network as a service. Anything is now a service you can buy in the community from someone on the cloud to deliver your services. So we have to look as service providers at our model, and our model is changing. The model in the past was customers, service provider and suppliers. We're going for a new paradigm now, a new model. A new model that changes slightly. Yes, we've still got the customers, the service providers and the suppliers. But now we have another entity within this model. The service broker, the service integrator. The person responsible for providing in a multi-sourced environment end-to-end service. And what are the three drivers that are going to come in the future that are going to drive that service integrator or that service broker? That's what we've got to focus on. And for me, the three drivers are service and business value. Key to delivering a quality end-to-end service. Service and business outcomes. The thing we very rarely focus on. We focus on outputs. And business integration and alignment. The one big challenge that we always find difficult to grasp. So let me just focus on that and tell you a story, right? There's a guy walking across a field, middle of nowhere, and suddenly a hot air balloon comes out of the distance. And the guy in the hot air balloon shouts down to him and says, "Where am I?" And the guy in the field looks up and he says, "Well, you're in a hot air balloon over this field." And the guy in the hot air balloon says, "You must work for IT." And the guy said, "Well, yes, I do actually. But how did you know that?" He said, "Well, what you told me was accurate, totally correct, and absolutely useless." And so the guy on the ground then turns around to the guy in the business and he says, in the hot air balloon, he said, "You must work for the business." He said, "Well, yes, I do actually." "How did you know that?" And he said, "You don't know where you've been, you don't know where you are, and you don't know where you're going, and now it's my fault." And how often do you come across that situation where there's this standoff between the business and IT? And we can no longer survive in that environment. We've got to get into that balloon with the business. We've got to know where they've been, where they are, and where they go. And that's when we will achieve true integration and alignment with the business. And that's what a service integrator and broker has to do. It has to understand that we're not in a value chain anymore, we're in complex value networks. networks of suppliers, service providers, service integrators and customers. So what's going to happen to service management? Well, I believe you get the radicals that are saying, well, we won't need service management anymore. That's gone. That's history. I don't believe that at all. I believe that service management is going to become even more important. The emphasis is going to change. Come back to those 3 points I mentioned earlier about service integration. Yes? Focusing on the values, the outcomes and integration. Well, if you're a service integrator, you've now got to integrate an end-to-end service from many providers, coming from the cloud, coming from here, coming from there, everywhere. And if you can't integrate management systems and processes that are going to work in real time, then you are not going to survive, because it will be only the agile ones that will. And the only way of being agile in that environment is to exchange incidents automatically, changes automatically, requests automatically, across multiple suppliers, multiple systems, multiple processes. That's true end-to-end integration and end-to-end service. That's challenge number one. You've also got to understand the business, what the business wants, where the business is going. So strategy is going to be key. Service portfolio and service catalogues are going to be the ultimate aim. If you haven't got a service portfolio or a service catalogue, how can you even begin to start to understand service value? You can't. But what you can do once you've got a service catalogue is you can understand the relative value of all of your services. Which are your critical services? Which are your most valuable services? Because underpinning those services will be relationships and interactions with the multiple suppliers that you need to integrate. And you need to invest time and money in those relationships to manage them effectively to deliver end-to-end quality. Because if you don't, anyone lets you down, you're stuck. That's a technical term, that one. Yes? So, those for me are the drivers for the future. So relationship management now becomes key. Business relationship management. Interfacing with your business. Understanding where they are, where they want to go, what their requirements are. Supplier relationship management. Managing your suppliers and the services they deliver. And I think we have to go into those processes much more effectively. The ones that we don't like, the fluffy ones, relationships. We like relationships with technology, not with people. So that, for me, is the future of service management. Focus on the business, developing relationships, understanding strategy, service portfolio and service catalogue. They're going to be the key ones now. Incident, change, problem, they'll just be done. They'll just happen. So, on that theme, what we've done over the last 6 to 9 months within itSMF UK is establish, you may have heard of it, our Big Four agenda. So we spent time talking to members, talking to organisations, both teleconferences, face-to-face meetings, surveys. You may have completed the survey that we did. If you did, we're grateful for that. And what we're trying to do is to look at what are the big challenges that face you and your organisations over the next few years. Because if we are a membership organisation that's going to deliver value to you, we have to understand where you've come from, where you are, and where you're going. So you need to tell us, what are your CIO's agenda, what are your big challenges? And then what we will do is we will set the programme for 2014 that addresses those 4 big challenges. In terms of the seminars, in terms of the conferences that we deliver, in terms of the SIGs and that sort of thing. We will orientate everything we do next year based on the Big Four. Now, we have a series of round tables, as I said, that is going along in parallel with all of the other streams of the conference. Now, 2 of those are on the Big 4, and we'd love you to get involved and register to give us your feedback and give us your feelings.